Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. We just talked about Brent Key's comments around UGA and how I just loved him. And I think college football could kind of learn from Brent Key just a little bit and add some of that energy to some of the other rivalries in college football. But let's jump into the Elite 11 finals because this is one of the biggest recruiting events, biggest really events in college sports, or college football at least, over the entire year. I think this month of June is so important in the world of recruiting, and this is kind of the magnum opus. This is the one that everyone is going to be at. There's going to be so many head coaches, so many coordinators, so many people that are after these quarterbacks, or trying to hold on to these quarterbacks, or trying to flip these quarterbacks. So there's a ton to get into. Andrew Ivins did a fantastic breakdown on the CBS page and had some really, really cool stats that I want to break down for you guys real quick before we go through all the players and I give my own little takes here at the end. But we'll start with some different things that I wanted to break down. And first, let's just break down how important it is to get to the Elite 11 finals or to participate in this event. 16 of the last 17 quarterbacks to win the Heisman attended Elite 11 finals or regionals, so they were in that conversation. They were right up towards the top of the quarterbacks in their respective classes, and it pays dividends to go to these big time camps where you put yourself up against the big time players around you. So definitely will be an interesting thing to watch. Not everyone is fully there that could make noise in college football. Bryce Underwood is not playing, which absolutely hate to see. Did not know that yesterday, so apologies for hyping him up as the sight to see, but there's still plenty of guys to watch. Also, George McIntyre, I believe, has an injury where he had to get stitches and they're not fully healed, so he also will not be there, which is not ideal by any means. There will be some different kind of events throughout it. You'll have your pro day and accuracy training on Wednesday, which will be tomorrow. They'll have opening drills and stuff today. And then they'll wrap up on Thursday afternoon. They'll give their Elite 11 rankings. They'll give the MVP and all of that type of stuff. So it's a huge event. It's very, very important for these kids. And it shows in these, stats. You have the last three Heisman Trophy winners were all Elite 11 finalists. So, that's the way to go. Let's just be totally honest. That is a huge moniker for what you're going to do in college football. And then the last 13 quarterbacks to go number one overall in the NFL draft attended Elite 11 finals or regionals. So a lot behind this. The kids that are in this for a reason, and it's a really special place to be. A lot of successful people have been in and out of this camp. There will be a lot of successful people there helping coach and do some different things. So it'll be a really, really fun event to watch. But let's get into where all these kids are going, at least the kids that will be there this week or throughout this week. And it starts really with the SEC. The SEC is totally dominating this one. Obviously, as I said, George McIntyre will not be there. I only learned about 10 minutes before the show, so had to scramble a little bit. Didn't get him off this graphic, but a guy that would have been there. Bryce Underwood also would have been there if he wanted to be. I don't really know what the situation was there, if he turned them down or if he had an injury. I don't know, but at the end of the day, still some really talented guys. Hussein Longstreet, Matt Vollers, Keelan Russell, really, really talented guys going the SEC's direction. The Big Ten is led by Tavian St. Clair, a very, very talented guy going to Ohio State. Big 12, Ty Hawkins is a guy that I'm watching very closely because I think that might flip from the Big 12 to the ACC because SMU is pushing very, very aggressively for this kid. And then you have guys like Trammell Jones Jr., a Florida State commit, and Bryce Baker going to the ACC before you get to Deuce Knight, who is committed to Notre Dame as of right now. But that's another one that might just flip here shortly because Ole Miss is pushing very, very aggressively for that kid as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this shakes out. But let's get into the guys. Let's break down all of these guys really quickly. And let's start with Tavian St. Clair. He is the top quarterback that will be there this weekend, number 2 in the country behind Bryce Underwood. And this kid is just an elite thrower of the football. He's going to put the ball exactly where you need it to be. He's going to make every right decision. I think he's one of those guys that is just as polished as you possibly can be as a junior going into your senior year of high school. So it'll be really interesting to watch. Going into college. No, senior year of high school. I'm all backwards right now. But no, he is a really, really talented player and absolutely is going to be a huge pickup for Ohio State. Has been committed there for quite some time and looks really solidly locked in. So I think that's a guy you will definitely be seeing in the Scarlet and Gray at some point in his future. And then you have Julian Lewis, one of the guys that's really been dominating conversation over the last really month. I feel like this guy has really been the talk of the town, and it's largely because of his recruiting right now. He is kind of all over the place. Lincoln Riley and USC have his commitment right now, but Auburn is pushing very aggressively. Had a big time visit there this past weekend, so I'd watch out on that over the next, couple of weeks, see what he does there. This guy is kind of the finesse passer. He is super, super accurate, makes all of the layered throws, goes through progressions really well, is kind of that point guard that you need at the quarterback position. So very much like this guy. I think he fits with Lincoln Riley perfectly, but he would fit with Hugh Freeze just fine as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Hussein Longstreet is a very interesting player. He's kind of the physical specimen out of the group. He's an A&M commit. He really is just super strong, has an NFL quarterback body, can do a ton of things with the football, sling it downfield probably 80 yards in the air, if I'm being totally honest. The dude just can do incredible things. So he might be a little bit of a project in terms of, polishing up some little things. But if we're talking about athleticism and just being a dude that's ready for the NFL right now, he probably tops the list of these guys. George McIntyre, we talked about, is not going to be there. A very talented player, only 2 spots behind Hussein Longstreet. A little bit more of a project, needs to fill out a little bit. But once he does, the arm talent is absolutely ridiculous with this kid. So a super high ceiling for him. Matt Zollers is a fun player because a little bit shorter, a little bit undersized compared to the other guys in this group. Not necessarily small by any means, but definitely a little bit smaller than the group of guys who will be around. And he uses his legs a lot more. He's kind of a little bit of that Brady Cook. Brady Cook might be a little bit less mobile than this guy, but there is some of that energy to them where they're very gritty. They're going to get that 5 yards when you need them. And also, Matt Zollers has the cannon attached to the right side of his torso. The dude can absolutely sling the ball. I think I saw him throw it 80 yards in the air a couple of days ago. So he doesn't lack for athletic ability, for any arm talent. He's going to be just incredible, if I'm being totally honest. Keelan Russell was one of the recent flips to Bama. He came over from SMU, and he's one of my favorite guys in the entire class. I think he's played just incredible football for Duncanville, and I think his upside is just remarkably high. If you put him in the hands of Kalen DeBoer for even a year of development, I think he's just going to do incredible things. And then you have Deuce Knight, the only lefty of the group, a very intriguing prospect. Notre Dame commit as of right now, but Ole Miss is pushing very aggressively for this kid. He seems fairly solid for Notre Dame, but a lot of things can change pretty quickly. And if Lane Kiffin can pull this kid in, I think his quarterback position is set up for the next, 4 years, where you have Jackson Dart this year, probably Walker Howard the year after that, and then Deuce Knight will be ready to roll in and maybe just light the world on fire. Really remarkable guy, has kind of lit up all the regionals around the country, so definitely very excited to see what he can do. And then you got the next group of guys, and they're led by Keely Smith Jr., the Oregon commit, a very talented thrower of the football, a very athletic kid, so fits in that Will Stein kind of way of business. Ryan Montgomery is also in this group, a UGA commit, very talented kid. KJ Lacey, a Texas commit, also a hugely talented, kind of a Bryce Young type guy, so that'll be a fascinating thing to watch. And then Malik Washington, the top uncommitted quarterback left on the board, is in this group, a very talented kid that absolutely has tons of offers and is probably gearing up for a commitment here pretty soon. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Ty Hawkins, a current TCU commit, is going to be a huge guy to watch, not only because he can do incredible things on the football field, but his recruitment is very interesting. SMU is pushing very aggressively for him right now. Definitely want to pull him away from TCU, and I think they might just be able to do that, if I'm being totally honest, but I don't exactly know when that's going to happen. Kamario Taylor is a Mississippi State commit, a very talented kid. Also, definitely will be interesting to watch him because he could be a starter right away when he walks into Starkville. TJ Lateef is a Nebraska commit, will likely be taking over the reins whenever Dylan Raiola moves on, so that's definitely an interesting one to watch. And then Sherman Jones Jr. is going to be really fun guy to watch. Tons of talent, going to FSU at the end of all this, and I think he's going to be just remarkable at the next level. Kind of an under-the-radar guy that I'm really watching very closely. And then you get into the 3-star guys. For me, it's led by Luke Nickel, the quarterback over at Miami. That guy right there is Kevin Sperry, the OU commit, a very talented kid. Bryce Baker is just absolutely remarkable. He's going to UNC, kind of fits that Drake May, Sam Howell type mold that UNC has had a good amount of success with in the past. And then you have Alex Mansk, a Iowa State commit. All of those guys are very interesting. Sperry and Baker are likely the two that I'm watching probably closest. And you have Jaren Kiawi Sagapolutele. I did my absolute best. I very much apologize if I butchered that, but it's a really, really good group. There are tons of guys to watch, whether you're watching the class that they bring to the table or seeing if your team made a good bet on a 3-star. I think Kevin Sperry is absolutely one of those guys that I'm watching very, very closely this week. But let's get into some guys I'm watching for, some guys that I think might light the world on fire, and then my pick for MVP and maybe a wild card there as well. So the guys that I'm watching for more than anything, Matt Zollers, I'm really interested to see just how much he shows up in kind of this environment where you're around all the best quarterbacks in the country, and can he show up the way that it's been pretty evident he has the ability to. But it'll be fascinating to see if he can kind of live up to all of these other guys. Keelan Russell, obviously flipping to Bama, is going to have pretty big microscope on him this week. He's very talented, does really incredible things. His thing really is his athletic ability and ability to kind of get out of the pocket and make plays with his legs. But at the end of the day, he can do incredible things in the pass game. So very excited to see that. Deuce Knight is going to be an awesome player to watch this week. The southpaw is going to just be spinning the ball around, doing incredible things. Akili Smith Jr. is one that, frankly, I just don't know too much about, and I want to learn more about in this week. Definitely want to see what he does throughout these next couple of days and see if he maybe lights the world on fire and takes home that MVP possibly. KJ Lacey is a very interesting one, a guy that is definitely a little bit undersized compared to the rest of these guys, but the arm talent speaks for itself. So very excited to see what he can do, and I was very excited to see George McIntyre, but here we are. He is not playing, so definitely a little bit of a bummer there. The under-the-radar guys I'm watching are Ty Hawkins. I think the arm talent is just ridiculous on that kid. Trammell Jones Jr., very excited to see what he can do and maybe step into a Florida State situation where they need him to start right away. And then Kevin Sperry, a very, very talented kid that I think Oklahoma might have just found a diamond in the rough, I'll be totally honest, but I guess we'll find out this week. My pick for MVP is Julian Lewis. I think he's just going to do incredible things, show off his accuracy, and really wow a ton of the college but also pro scouts that are going to be out there. And then the wild card there, I think Deuce Knight has an ability to really make some noise this week and possibly even win that MVP. So really like this group of guys. I think when you look at the Elite 11 every year, it's always loaded. There's always incredible amounts of really talented guys, but this one feels a little bit more special, I'll be totally honest. Even without Bryce Underwood and George McIntyre competing, I think you still have dudes here that are going to be just stars at the next level, and I'm really excited to see how it all shakes out, what the rankings are, who wins MVP, everything in between. So very excited about all that, but we'll take our third break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about stock up, stock down. We're going to break down the SEC programs, give you two that I think are moving in the right direction, two that I think are moving in the wrong direction, and I'll give kind of reasonings for all of them, but we'll break that down right after this, so stick with us.